Yo, here we go. Bro, rapberry, how are you, man?
I'm doing all right. Yeah.
You're doing pretty good. Okay, so for those who don't know who you are, I think a lot of people know who you are just because of all the photos we've done, and then just your kind of being in this space that we're all in as just like young Christian creatives. But do you want to explain yourself, what you do, who you are, kind of how'd you get started, everything like that?
Yeah, sweet. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Raymond Alva. Some people call me rapberry, raspberry minus the S. And so I've been shooting for, I think, about 4 years now. I'm 20 years old. I got my first camera when I was 16 for my birthday. Shout out mom and dad. And so, yeah, I got started in photography. I had a bunch of friends who were photographers and videographers. Really looked up to them. They were older than me. And so a couple months later, I asked my parents for a camera. And ever since then, I've just been shooting nonstop, just constantly trying to grow. And first, it started off as a hobby. You know, I just like taking pictures of stuff. But then over the years, it's just grown into like learning, like sort of just growing as a person and learn like what God has for my life. And then I realized that I can incorporate photography into that. And then I realized that, you know, the only reason I have this gift or this ability to create is because God gave it to me. And so in that, like, I really just want to be able to give it back in any way. And so for me personally, that's telling other people's stories, like on tour, or just helping create visions for like other Christian artists or just other artists in general. Bro. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So
dang, that's so fire. And I kind of want to talk about how we met too, because I think people would be curious on how we met. Maybe you should explain it. I know it was pretty simple. Like we just
Instagram.
DM. That's literally just Instagram. Like how, you like never know
how everyone meets nowadays. Like
all my best friends I've just met on Instagram. I feel like. But yeah, God brings people together online. That doesn't mean if you DM us right now we're becoming your best friend. But
I mean, God's timing for sure. I had a friend who showed me your music. Dang, like I think 2 years ago. Yeah, oh, wow. it was like almost 2 years ago. It was the summer, not last summer, but the summer before. And so I just really like dug your music. I dug that, like.
Is it Bedroom Gospel?
Yeah, Bedroom Gospel. Yeah, and that album's amazing. But anyways, Thanks, so I really thought it was tight. I was like, yo, good Christian music. And it doesn't sound like everyday CMM or CCM. And so I was like, yo, this is tight. And then I followed you, then started following your YouTube channel and just all that stuff. And then followed you, and then you followed me back. And at that time, I was like, I had never like, I worked a little bit with like Social Club before, but I had never worked with like other musicians. And at that point, I was like, yo, that's kind of tight. Like, he's a guy that like, making music, like he's making good stuff, and he just followed me. That's pretty tight. But I'm pretty sure it's just because I was a photographer and like and you were a photographer, and it was like mutual interest. Legit. But like that was tight. And then I think it was a couple months later, that's when the first Love Revivals were. And then I sent you a DM. I was like, yo, I'm going, like, if you need photos, like I would love to bring my camera. And then you were like, yeah, go ahead, like, sure, like they're super chill, like and I remember like that night there was like 6 people with cameras. Like,
legit. It was just I just tight. Said everyone, go ahead. Legit.
Dang, and that's, bro, like still the deal with like Love Revivals.
And it kind of is.
And that's like tight though. You know, like that's super sick. Because I remember like when I first started getting into photography, it was always like, can I get a pass to shoot this concert or like something like that? And it's like, sometimes it's really hard to do it, and like you can't just bring your camera to like a show or something. Dang. And the fact that like Love Revivals or like any like the tour that we did, like people can just bring their camera in, like that's tight, you know? Well, that's definitely like, I would say the heart that me and Pat really want to show, as well as like giving that place for creatives and giving that place for people, especially in the church, because I feel like gifts like that can sometimes be overlooked if you're not like a pastor or you're 100%. Like not like, you know, something big. It's like, oh, it doesn't mean anything. But that's kind of why we still do it. But yeah, bro, I mean,
Dang, it was super cool when we first met. Like me and Pat were, for those who don't know what the Love Revival is, the Love Revival is like free worship nights that we have kind of to just like specifically aimed at just like Christians and then Christian creatives specifically, but then sometimes people bring like people that aren't Christian, and I don't know, it's just a beautiful thing that God is doing, that we're still like figuring out what it is. But that's what rapberry was talking about. That's what we invited him to. And then after we shot the first one, we went on like a photo shoot in Riverside, and then we just
and then a week later you asked me to go on tour.
A week later he went on tour.
Like, because we did the Love Revival, and then like a couple months went by, and it was like we were internet friends, but we weren't like tight.
Yeah, legit. Now we just got canes together. Now we just hang out all the time.
You know, sweet tea, you gotta get that.
High key.
But
hey, sponsor us real quick.
High key, yo, high key. I need that. I need that Canes Love Revival collab happening soon, bro.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Hey, but yeah, because what's it called? It was the Love Revival. Then a couple months went by, and then it was the Nights and Days album release party, the listening party.
Yep.
And then I swung through to that, just because I was like, you at the time weren't in LA a lot.
No,
I think.
yeah, it's still pretty scarce.
And so then you were in LA. I was like, oh, okay, like we'll see if he wants to hang out. And then me and a homie went to the listening party, and then we set up shooting. And then like a couple days later we did the shoot in Riverside. And then
that's where it's kind of started.
That's where it started. Yeah,
that's legit where it started, because I think what I loved about rapberry stuff was that like he wasn't afraid to break out of like he's so open to like being weird and getting weird, and
100%.
Yeah, just a lot of times in Christian spaces I think we're just like so afraid, so we just try to stay completely in the bounds, but like no, God has created us all different, and that's beautiful. Like we should be accepting of that, you know, of course, like not too different to the point where it's just like hell Satan, but like you know, like we can get a little experimental.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, bro, now that we kind of got the intro out the way, we went on a tour. The tour actually after that was called Nights and Days, which was like an album me and Pat dropped for like the first Lord's Child album, because we were like starting the label at that time and we wanted to drop a project, and we did the Nights and Days tour, which like pretty much emailed people for like booking and was just like, yo, if you have a place we can come, like please let us. We wanted all the nights to be free, and we just wanted to see what would happen, who would if people would turn up, and surprisingly people did, some places less than others, but
but every night was like great for its own reason, you know, like some nights were just super intimate, some nights like was just like hype, like New York, and like all the homies came.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But then other nights it was like just like the Q&A in Duanesburg. Was it Duanesburg?
Oh yeah,
in New York, and like that night you get to do a Q&A, and like all the other nights you couldn't because the other ones were bigger. Dang. You know, so like there was good things about every single one.
That's so fire.
Yeah,
Haiku, I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So here's some shots I kind of want to go through, because now I'm just like reliving the things that happened in tour.
It's fun going back through these.
Haiku. Oh, and you can
chapel.
Oh, you can Detroit. Like just go
you can
skip
click
past
through them.
All right, bet. So this is I'll kind of explain this photo, who this is here. This is Andrew from Ecclesia. And this was the first date, I believe, in Chicago. Or no, this was the second date.
Oh yeah, this wasn't Detroit.
This was Chicago. This was the second date.
Yes.
Because we went to Detroit once, and then we came back with Robots. So this shot is actually pretty cool. It doesn't have anything to do with the night specifically yet, but this is my homie Ecclesia. He's another person that does dope worship stuff. You should check it out. Like I'll have him on a podcast soon, but dang, I really like this photo. I like the fits we're both wearing, and then I'm pretty sure you got the flash on there. Do you want to kind of explain any specs that you did with that one?
Yeah, I mean, this one wasn't super crazy. I just had a flash directly on my camera, so it's just hard light, kind of giving like a paparazzi feel, which is kind of tight, especially for like a fit pic like that. Yeah, I don't know. This was just like a super fun in the moment. Like I'm pretty sure Pat was like packing up all the merch at the time, and he was like like yelling at us like, yo, we gotta go, like,
hurry up.
And we're like, no, we gotta get the shot.
Yo,
that happened like every 30 minutes on tour, like,
bro, all the time.
Yo, like when we were getting gas and
oh my gosh, dude, that was terrible.
High key, bro.
Okay, all right, and what I loved about the Nights and Days tour is he would capture like little moments like this, which is just like people praying for us, and these little moments that you kind of just you don't see, but you get to live in. And that's why I think documentary like photography is so important, because otherwise you wouldn't see this stuff and you might not even remember it, but this stuff is like some of the most beautiful moments. So do you want to explain like this moment, if you remember much from it, or like why do you think capturing those are important as well? Either
I mean, just a little bit about this moment specifically. I just remember this was right after the worship night ended, and what's really cool about like the worship nights that we did here and like the ones that we're still doing is they're very intimate, and so like you and whoever else is singing and like Pat and everyone, like everyone is there right after. We're at other concerts or something like that, like everyone just goes backstage real quick. And so what's cool is like, especially on this tour, I remember we were a little scared to do it at first. Like that's funny, but yeah. So like gosh. Here is like you were just fully engaged with it, and you're like, yeah, I want to talk with people, you know, and people like came up and shared their stories, and then they would ask to just randomly pray for you. And like it's super beautiful, like to go back and look at that, because like to a lot of people, like your music like helped them through a hard time, but it's like in these photos we try, or at least what I wanted to try and showcase was like you're helping them, but then these people want to pray for you. You know, dang, it's like beautiful. You need the help too. You know, and
for
it's
sure
like,
I do.
A lot of times that happens, I feel, with artists and stuff like that, where it's like people pour and pour and pour, but they don't get poured into. And so it's like that's what I see in this photo. That's beautiful, actually. It has its own story. It's like the leader needs to like step down and be prayed for as well, like 100%, and receive. That's so fire. I love that. All right, let's move on to where was this? Oh, Cleveland. That's Cleveland. Okay. That was my favorite night, like photo wise. Oh, really? 100%. Okay. Yep. Here's a photo of me and Andrew from Ecclesia getting hype. Please excuse Andrew's shirt going up. Shirt. That's sometimes what happens when young kids get crazy and worship God. Get lit for the Lord. But yeah, explain how you shot this one. I see some like, you can just explain that because there's like all this stuff in there. So this is a technique that I do a lot within my photography. It's slow shutter. About to get very technical, so for all my photo nerds out there, there's gonna be some photo nerds. You'll know what I'm talking about. So it's slow shutter. I have the flash on my camera, and then I'm just doing like this kind of motion with my camera. I'm on maybe like a fourth of a second something, just waving it back and forth. So what that's doing is I'm waving my camera around like crazy, and whatever the flash is hitting, like whatever subject the flash is hitting, that will be completely frozen, but then anything that the flash isn't hitting, or anything that the flash isn't hitting and continuous light is hitting, will just be blurred. That's what like this blue is. That blue was pretty much the it was the back screen, I'm pretty sure, and so I took a photo of you guys going crazy, and then I went to the screen, and so it kind of did like a double layer of the screen on you guys. And so that's pretty much like this photo, and there's a lot of photos like this in this set. Mainly from a couple songs in particular where I would know when to get it out. There was definitely like we had kind of like planned, which was kind of cool. Or not even planned. After a while, you just kind of got in the swing of like what our sets are like, and you know what songs are gonna look best with a certain type of effect and everything like that. Which is I think needs to be understood. It's like, to what we're doing, it sometimes might look easier, like we do it, but there's actually psychology on like what you do and like why you do it and stuff like that. Photos have meaning, and like a lot of people don't understand, like they see something like that and they think I just do it because it looks cool. But in reality, it's like, no, I want to capture movement, I want to capture energy, I want to capture just like fun and just like like being in the spirit of the Lord, like, and how much joy that brings.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you capture that visually? You know, you do crazy colors and stuff because like people show or categorize like colors with joy and like bright with joy. So I want to showcase that. But
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay, so these, I know you really like these photos.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh man. So these we pulled over on the like, what are we stopping for gas or something?
I think we were in Scranton, Pennsylvania, stopping for gas, and I remember I had a really bad headache. And shout out to Alva. I remember I had a bad headache, and we like went into the gas station. I got some ibuprofen, and then we went outside, and as we were like getting in the car and like Pat was filling up the gas, Montell's like, yo, get your camera out right now, you see that field over there?
Yeah, Pat's my manager, by the way.
And so we just like, we booked it. Pat was like, you better be back soon.
Yeah.
And so we booked it, and we did like, no lie, a full-blown photo shoot in that field, and like, oh my god. But it's those so photos cool, like I converted a lot of them to black and white just because I think the tones in them were just like on point.
Banging.
But like the colors that day were crazy because it was during sunset. But yeah,
yeah, that's also another thing, like just having spontaneous moments, and when you're creating like, don't get too caught up in like, oh, I need to plan this shoot or I need to plan all these things out. Like, just feel free and just create.
And I mean, subconsciously as artists, like the meanings are going to come out in the work, and then we'll be editing them and like looking over them like months later, and I'll realize like, that's why I did that. I did that like subconsciously to prove or to like showcase a meaning and like showcase depth in it, and I didn't even realize it at the time.
Dang.
But it's like just from like just like getting yourself familiar with like art and just like different types of art and just what they mean, and like you'll subconsciously do that in your own art without even thinking about it. So I don't know, it's really interesting. But
that's so fire.
Yeah.
Dang. So I would say these probably might have been my two favorite nights, which is so weird because there's two polar opposites.
Yeah.
So the first one is like Duanesburg, New York, which was like, oh my gosh, it was, I don't even know what, like 20 or 30 people there. And most of them random. Most of them were like over 40 years old. Yeah, like older, didn't really know the music.
Which is complete opposite of what all the other shows were.
Legit.
Especially NYC.
For sure. Yeah, so the last kind of two dates on tour were like Duanesburg, New York, and then New York City. And New York City is like my favorite city in the world. I love it. Love the fashion there. Like, everything about it inspires me. But this night was cool. Like rapberry mentioned, it was just super intimate night of worship. And then we had this Q&A, which was just a cool moment to like open up to people and like let people know like, hey, we're following God, and we're just humans too. Like, we're no better than you. So yeah, that was really cool.
Especially for like the older people to hear that Q&A too, because I think like a misconception of like older people, I guess, is like looking at like younger artists and they're like, oh, all they do is like get crazy and like jump around, and it's like, no, we need to be like respectful to the Lord and like have some meaning behind our stuff. And I think you guys got to showcase that there, which was really, really tight.
Dang. And that was so fun. Yeah, I'm glad you like, because I guess you probably could have just been like, yo, it's a chill night, I don't really need to take like photos, but I'm glad you still captured like those moments too, because like we can still look back on those and like really appreciate the little moments and not like always get so caught up in the hype too. So
yeah,
shouts on that one. So yeah, that night was super cool, but then NYC was just like, it was just the complete opposite. Like right here we just have our homie Alex Lugo dancing. Shout out Alex,
killing it.
I don't even know, this was definitely during Ecclesia's set.
Yeah,
what song was that? I don't even know. That's so wild though. Dang.
That could have been for any of Ecclesia's songs, honestly.
Yeah,
that could have been for Lavish, the acoustic version.
Legit, just acoustic version. Okay, dang. And this, so I love little stuff like this as well. So this is Pat and Gingy at the Pat is my manager, Patrick, and then Gingy is his wife. They're just chilling at the booth, at the merch booth in NYC. And this is something I think it was cool because you shot this so people can see like the ground up. Like this is literally like, we don't we rarely have like people helping us with merch or like
super small team.
Yeah, super small team. Like literally Pat and Gingy and like occasionally Cody yeah, is like the team, but like God is like allowed that to work, and his grace has just pushed us. But yeah, they're just like literally, Pat's working camera, he's doing merch, he's also like speaking, Gingy's like speaking as well, she's at the merch booth, and I think it's just like these cool moments. Even Gingy's still with her joy, like still happy about it. But this is what it was. I thought this moment was cool. Do you remember much from this moment on like what was going on there?
Yeah, I just remember like everyone just worshiping and going crazy, and like literally everyone in there was like just having fun, like worshiping. And I just thought that was really tight because like Gingy was just like looking at everyone, and then she was getting amped up about it. And like she was the only one behind the counter like at a point, and she was still getting crazy. Like everyone else was like feeding off each other's energy, like right next to each other, like pre-quarantine, you know, like able to like get hyped to worship nights. Legit. But yeah, and she was just like doing it by herself in the back, and I was like, that's tight. Like, you know, like it's good that the people who are putting these things on are also like getting involved in it. So because true. You know, like if Pat and Gingy were like just in the corner, like sitting down or something like that, then it's like
it would kill it.
Yeah, it would kill it, you know. But like they're not, you know. If anything, they're getting the most like legit. Up, so
that's a super cool thing about like God's calling too on your life. It's like I mean, there might be hard moments, but overall, like, you should really enjoy it. Like, there's so much to enjoy with God and about like following your calling and walking in your purpose. I think that needs to be known, because I even put out an Instagram post just saying like, yo, you don't have to prove yourself to no one, you don't have to compare. That's where like the joy comes away. Do you have like any kind of tips on just like still finding that childlike joy that you have in creating, and like not getting so caught up in stuff and just like experimenting and trying new things, like, you know what I mean? I mean, that's something that I struggle with a lot. Like, honestly, I mean, I think we all do. 100%. And like I've made Instagram posts talking about this, just talking about like when I get in creative slumps, and I just like start to feed into the lies of the devil that like I'm not good enough, like someone else is better at something than me. They have more opportunities than me, like they're in a better place. Why am I not getting those opportunities? Like I feel like I'm constantly being fed those, and like it's really hard to just like overlook them. But honestly, it's like you just have to think back, like, okay, God has given you so much already. Like if you're waking up breathing every day, like you're already blessed. You know, and it's like God has you in a specific spot for a reason, and if you overlook that, then it's like, are you really trusting him? You know? And it's like we need to trust him with the spot that we're in right now, and like be content with that. Because you know, it says like tomorrow has enough worries of its own, so why are we worrying about tomorrow? And so like we just need to like sit there, like realize that he is with us, and we can create with the power of him. And it's like, we're Christians, you know. God is the ultimate creator, right? We should be like just creating stuff nonstop. And like I feel like a lot of people, myself included, like I'll try and overthink about stuff, over preparing for like a shoot or something. And it's like, preparing for shoots is great, don't get me wrong, but I think you also have to have shoots where you just go out and have fun. Because I mean, if you don't have, you know, if you have like one of making stuff with no intent to like I guess like help someone else or like bring light to a subject, then you're kind of just like misusing your gift that God gave you. But if you're doing the opposite way, then, and if you're just like thinking about like, okay, this needs to be good, like this needs to be good, then you're losing that childlike faith that you were talking about. That's and then you lose your joy. And then it's like, then it almost becomes like a job. Like you have to work. And it's like God doesn't call us to like work, you know, like he calls us to like be faithful and like rest and like have joy in what we do, and like showcase his joy through us. And so like I don't know. God loves a cheerful giver. Like 100%. When we give, we're giving through our art, and like yeah, it just, if we have frowns on our face and like we hate it, that's not going to be the best. Okay, so that's the kind of first section. The next is kind of, we're going to hop back into the love revivals, which yeah, like I said, the love revivals are just something we started last year in February 2019. It was amazing. Like, I remember God telling me with these things like that, just people would be getting saved at them, and like super spiritual, like people would get healed. And there's so many testimonies that we've heard of like people actually being healed by the power of God, and like just like spirits casted out and crazy stuff. But these love revivals were the 3 we did this year. We had more planned, but we were like, we got shut down by COVID.
The 3 that I was taking photos at.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because there was
because we did
the Sacramento, the San Fran ones.
We did we did NorCal.
Yeah, I wasn't able to go up, sadly. But.
Yeah, hey, it's all good. Yeah. But so these three were cool. This first one was in LA. We had this rapper named Young C open up, which was super dope because like my man's really brought it. You want to kind of explain what your mind's? This is actually a really cool shot. You want to kind of explain like what you're trying to do? I see like the photo's very wide and like you just tried to capture the whole feel and everything like that.
Yeah, pretty much. I just wanted to capture like his set as a whole. And I thought it was really interesting. I used a prism for this shot, just like stuck it underneath my lens.
Hey.
And yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to show the energy that like he was bringing, and like I thought it was super hype, like people were into it.
Did the prism cause those flares? Like
on the bottom, so it's like insane. It's like you see everyone's like hands going up and stuff like that, but then like underneath them, that's all the prism.
Okay, that's fire.
So, and then the prism, for those of you who don't know, it's a little piece of glass that reflects light. And so I'll put it right in front of my lens, and whatever is on the top of my lens is going to be reflected on the bottom. So it's kind of like a mirror. So it's reflecting all the light, and that's what we see here. So
big mood. Heck yeah. So we had Young C open up, and then we had this group called ISOY who was on the tour as well. Which that was a super cool moment, because they like really, you could tell people were really like worshiping when they came on. Like the ISOY guys really just like bring the presence. So that was cool. I love that you just like captured people worshiping, because people can think that it's all hype all the time, but no, like we actually do have like intimate moments, like you said earlier. And it's so cool, like even in this shot you kind of see the diversity. Of course, like kind of, at least to me, what draws out to me is the black girl here, but then you also have like to the right of them is like probably an Hispanic guy, and then there's like some guy who's probably Caucasian white girl down there like looking kind of wild, and then right next to her is like another Hispanic guy, which kind of showcases the full cultures at the worship nights too.
100%. Like there's so much diversity there, like it's so tight, so far, man. And I want to capture that, because like all of them are worshiping, and and that's how worship night should be. Like all types of people just worshiping like the one God,
Heck yeah.
So
that was super dope. I'm super glad like you caught moments like that.
I think something that like always, or at least encouraged me to capture moments like that, is over the tour last summer. I remember like me, you, and Andrew would talk a lot, and I think it was Andrew, he said that he's like, like documenting like what God is doing is so important, because if we didn't have people who documented that before, we wouldn't have the Bible.
Dang.
And like that's real. That's so interesting, and it's like people can be moved by an image, the same way that they can be moved by like someone speaking, or like someone like just anything like that, like we have the whole Bible because God spoke through them, and like it's his word, but like people wrote it down, and he anointed people to do that.
Heck yeah.
So I want to document it. But,
word. So this is probably one of my favorite moments of like the night. So this is probably during a song called Holy God, which I love getting down in the crowd and like being with people and like having people experience the whole thing, because some like like I'm gonna call it a concert specifically for just trying to give an example. If you was to go to a concert, there's some where you just like sit and watch and it's just like boring, but for me, I just love being in the moment with people, and I love worshiping people, and I love like a collective thing. So these moments are some of my favorite moments. You can see like everyone's just smiling, everyone's super joyous, and like we're just happy about being saved. But yeah, I love these shots. Usually these are the ones I post the most because I just love them. They just remind me of so much joy, and they like, as soon as we can get back touring, I'm like, I'm gonna love it. But yeah, some of the ISOY homies are in that shot. And then just some like people that came out to the worship nights. But even though we had that super hype moment, this was like probably one of my favorite love revivals, like period. Like talk about this moment right here where we like all are just crying on the floor.
This is probably one of my favorite photos I've taken, like at any worship night.
Dang,
like
okay.
100%. Like I'm actually gonna print this and hang it up.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that,
bro. Yeah, dang, such a moment.
This moment, oh my gosh, like talk about a moment.
Yo, legit, bro.
For those of you who were at this love revival, this was the Orange County one. You know what we're talking about. You know, there's that one moment. That one moment, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, yes, bro.
So for those of you who weren't there, wow, it was hard to explain. Pretty
crazy.
much. Montell, it was the end of the night. Montell was worshiping. It was the end of the set, and at that time, Pat was supposed to come up and give a message, and he was going to do like an altar call and like the whole everything, and it was going to be like we were going to end the night out. But I think Pat came up to you like as you were singing, right?
Yeah, and I think he told me like keep going, like don't stop yet or something.
Yeah, like you just kept singing like. I don't remember the song that started it off.
It's called Agnes Day. It's like Holy are you, Lord God. It's like an older song.
Yeah.
But it was hitting hard.
Yeah, it hit hard for like an hour.
Bro, we literally sung that for like probably 30 minutes straight, and it's just 2 lines.
Yeah.
Like just think of singing any chorus for 2 lines for like 30 minutes straight. Like let's take a non-Christian song or like a pop song on the radio and just singing that for 30 minutes straight. That's insane. But
that'd be weird.
Like when the Spirit's truly hidden, like bro, amazing things can happen. It do be hidden though, bro. And you can just see it. Like I don't know, that's just such a cool thing to capture. Like that was definitely one of my favorite nights.
Yeah, because like Pat told you to keep going, and you just like without questioning it or stopping, you just kept going.
Legit.
And then like next thing you know, 15 minutes later, like 3 people in the front are on the ground,
bro,
just kneeling.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Then another 10 minutes down, like I'm not shooting at this point, and I was like, okay, I don't feel like I don't want to be disrespectful in shooting because like I have a loud shutter, and I don't want to go around like just like I want people to worship for themselves. You know, I don't want to. The biggest thing with like taking photos at these events at the worship nights is I don't want to be a distraction. Yeah. And so like whenever I take pictures of people worshiping, like I want to make sure that I'm respectful of them, and like I don't want to get in the way of like their interaction with God at that time.
Dang, that's real.
And so like for 30 minutes, like I didn't pick up my camera during like when everyone was singing, and I like had my eyes closed and I was just sitting in the corner like with my camera off, and then I look up and like everyone is on the ground and like everyone's hands raised pretty much, like not specifically like in this photo, but like before. Everyone on the right side, everyone was on the ground.
Legit.
Everyone
just laid out.
Like, yeah. Oh my gosh. And so like I saw that and I'm like, okay, I'm respectful, but this needs to be captured.
Yeah, I keep
like people won't the pictures will never like showcase like how memorable that moment was.
Yeah.
But
still,
if I just get it like 50% there, then like that's enough.
That's enough for sure.
And so like I just remember like taking photos and like just thinking like this is a moment that will be like remembered, and I need to make sure to get it.
Yeah.
And so like I just went on the stage behind you guys, and I was like, I like you right there wearing the Lord's Child shirt, and then Pat with his back faced like facing outward. Classic. And you just see like the Lord's Child worldwide logo. Dang. And it's like, this is why Lord's Child was made.
Dang, that's so good.
Like,
sheesh.
Like, that's, oh my gosh.
I didn't even peep that.
Yeah.
High key.
Yeah.
It's those little things, like those little moments in tour. And then, yeah, we had one more, which was LA, which was super, super dope. I really want to talk about your, oh, is that what you're cooking?
Yeah.
I really want to talk about your personal work, so we can kind of like talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you didn't shoot much of this one.
Nah. I shot the Holy God. So
okay.
Moment.
Oh yeah. That one was super chill.
Yeah, and then the last moment when that guy came to Christ.
Oh yeah. We can talk about this photo real quick, because this was an insane moment.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it, or you want me to?
You talk a little bit about it. Hold on. Yeah.
That was an intense moment. Like, I remember, man, I've since coming back from Brazil, like I think Brazil definitely had a hit on me spiritually, like in a good way.
Yeah.
I was really tired out there, and I was really like definitely like needed to rest, but the seeing them worship with so much passion, and then like I would get in Ubers and stuff, and the people would be Christian. God would just do so many things, and there were like so many just Christians on fire there, which I thought was so beautiful. So like I came back, and there was a moment in Brazil where like I was singing Wonderful God, and I was like, I haven't sung this like this in so long. I sung it with like my whole heart, and I like just sent it fully to God. And so like every love revival, I was just like chasing that again, just like no matter what I'm going through, no matter what I'm feeling like right now, like God is a wonderful God, and God is like worthy to be praised. And so with this last one, I think I either ended with Wonderful God or like Don't Be Afraid to Fly or something like that.
I think it was Don't Be Afraid to Fly for this one.
Was it Don't Be Afraid to Fly?
I think it was, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It was like probably a transition, because those songs are in the same key, so it's like I could go back to them easily if I wanted to. But in that same vein, I think that was a really special moment, because these three or four people brought their friend who was like not a Christian, which is honestly another cool moment. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
I'll probably see them at more worship nights, and hopefully maybe get them on video one day.
Yeah.
But they brought their friend who wasn't a Christian. He literally, like, I was just like, yo, if there's anyone here who doesn't know God, like, accept him. He's calling out to you, like, come on. And then yeah, he just raised his hand, he told me his name, and like we all prayed for him, and like we just rejoiced, and we like shouted, and it was like such a beautiful moment. Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about that moment? I mean, it's like pretty.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember I remember I didn't shoot much that night, and so I was in like the back corner.
Oh dang.
Like just worshiping myself. Like
hey.
I was there with friends, but I like told them like, yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom, but I really didn't go to the bathroom. I just went in the back to worship by myself.
Yo, it'd be like that.
Like I was just like
dang.
like just worshiping, and then like getting at it, and then I just remember you just started like preaching, and you did the altar call.
Just sending
and
it.
like the pastor of the church was supposed to do the altar call that night, and then you just like started going.
It was just in me, bro.
Yeah.
Spirit was just on me.
The spirit's flowing, and like you might as well. You can't say no to the spirit.
Yo, high key.
So like you were just going, and then like in the corner of my eye, like I see Pat like over here in the corner of the stage, and he's like, Raymond, come here. And I had my camera just like strapped on me with a fisheye lens. I was the only one I brought. And so then I went over, and then you just started praying for him, and I was like, oh, I'm getting this. And so I just ran on stage, and then just got like every type of angle. But then like I just wanted to I'm so happy I had the fisheye lens on there, because I wanted to showcase like, okay, we have this whole group of like hundreds of people coming to this worship night, and it's all success if one person comes to Christ.
Bro, yes.
And it's like one person did.
Legit.
At least one person did. And I think there was some more people.
I think
like,
so, yeah.
But like just that first person, and we all stopped to pray for specifically that one person. It's like, that is the love of that.
That's what it is,
like,
bro. Yes.
You know, and so like, yeah, I don't know. That was a great moment for
that
sure.
was and that was even though like we didn't have the other love revivals after that, I'm like, that was a cool way to end kind of that series of love revivals. Yeah, that night was packed too, man. There's probably like 300 to 400 people. Yeah,
I think that was the biggest one.
Yeah, I think so too. That was like, we had Anton Bradford, Mark Barlow, we had Taylor come up.
Yeah, Taylor.
ISOI. Yeah, that was super cool, man. I really appreciated that night. That night was a blessing. Man, let's get into some of your personal work, and then we can kind of close out, because you do touring photography, but like you also have your own style and what you want to do. Like, kind of how do you explain like what you aspire to be with photography, and like, do you want to continue doing touring photography for the rest of your life, or are you kind of like into more abstract stuff, or kind of how do you explain that as well?
So I would kind of explain my style as sort of like experimental portraiture. And so I just experiment with unique light, unique colors, and just stuff you don't usually see. And so my kind of goal is I don't necessarily want to continue doing tour photography for the rest of my life, but definitely for a while. I think for like in the times when I'm like just a single young adult, like I think touring is so great, and like I can learn so much and like just have a great time. And it's like I don't have a family, I don't have like kids to just support, so it's just really nice and freeing, and so I want to be able to exercise that as long as I can. But definitely most of my joy in my own work comes from being in a studio, and like just having fun in a studio with weird lights, with projectors, having 7 continuous lights on at a time with like different color gels, and just like finding new ways of how to create interesting imagery. And so it's what's it called, I really like, I love touring and I love working with musicians, and with that, like I want to continue working with musicians. And so I would love to get more into like the album artwork side and like the tour promo side. And so I've done a couple album covers in the past, and like I would love to just dig more into that and like come up with more like conceptual album covers, and just really dig into like symbolism. I dug a lot into that, and just like personal work with like for school projects. I call it school project personal work for me, because like I don't want it to be schoolwork, I want it to be personal, you know.
Legit.
I want all my work to be personal.
For sure.
But so like I really want to, like I want to make meaningful images, and I think album artwork is a great way for me to do that. And I feel like a lot of times like musicians will hire out photographers specifically because they like their work. And so if I can, like, if like musicians can hire me out because they trust my vision, and they trust that like I can create an image that speaks to my brand and also speaks to their brand, like bringing light to a certain topic, then like that's what I want to do.
Heck yeah.
So but
and it definitely works so well. Let me make sure that this is still recording. Sometimes it'd be cutting off for like 30 minutes. All right, I think it was, but it might be a cutout if it's not. So that's definitely one thing I love about your work, is just like the differentness. And you just shot a cover art for Charlie Powers, which is the homie. Shout out to him. For his new single Mouth. And then you shot Social Club's album cover, Doom, which is crazy.
So it was fire. It was the EP cover for Doom. And then I checked, and then they hit me up and they're like, "Yo, we want to use it for the album too." And I'm like, "Okay, that's tight." And that whole thing came from, I was doing a concert for them like a couple months beforehand, and we took a photo backstage, and like we weren't planning to use that for like anything. It was just like a backstage portrait. And then I remember I posted the photo, and then Marty texted me, he's like, "Yo, can you take that down? Like, we want to use that for the cover." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take it down."
Bet.
I'm like, bet. But yeah, so I don't know. Cool things come from just shooting concerts, you know, like multiple things, multiple opportunities. So
Dang, that was super cool. My man definitely like really has his own style, and that's something that like really kind of intrigues me and draws me, especially as a creative. So if there are people out there that are watching that like kind of want to get in, if just create your own style and like really just pray and have a heart for God, like I don't know, that you can't beat that. Yeah, bro, do you have any like tips to give to any creatives out there that kind of want to get started, whether photographer, videographer, anything like that, on like how they should get started and stay consistent with it as well?
Yeah, make friends. That's a big thing. Being an artist can become very lonely at times. Like that is not something that artists kind of push aside. Like we all know that, you know, that's a thing that all of us know and all of us acknowledge. And I think it's really hard to, or it's, people think that it's hard to make friends as an artist, because it's like people have this conception of like, oh, I'm an artist, I'm gonna be like really quiet to myself and like and I'm just gonna make art and then like showcase it every once in a while and like that's gonna be it. But it's like, no, God made us to be like within community, you know. He said it's very good when he made Adam and Eve. You know, when there was multiple people, he said it was very good. And so like go out, find other creative people, and like take this, we met through Instagram. So it's like, even if you live in some random city in Ohio, like you can just hop on Instagram and just like create. And like most of my creative friends are made through Instagram, and it's crazy. Like I can text them whenever I want, like for their feedback on something, or if I just want, if like I really like their stuff, like I want to encourage them, you know, just as much as like I like being encouraged, like every artist does, but it's like, you know, I want to encourage them, you know, and there's a bond that happens with that. I think that's really cool, and it's definitely doable through social media. So, but yeah, that continues to push me a lot. So,
dang, man. Well, where can people find your stuff at? And yeah, if you have anything in the future you want to mention or anything like that, but maybe like where can people find your stuff?
Yeah, I would say, my website is Raymond Alva, RaymondAlva.com, and I pretty much like all my stuff condensed, so like my favorite stuff that I've done is on there in different categories and stuff, but I'm constantly posting on my Instagram. It's at rapberry, raspberry minus the S, and so there, that's pretty much the only two places. I have a YouTube too, but I don't really post on it
yet. On the way.
No. But
maybe.
You can find that through all of the stuff. But
heck
that's pretty much it. So.
Bro, this was dope. Well,
thanks for having me on this.
Legit. Shout out to whoever watched this whole thing.
Yo, high key though.
You're a real one. Yo, you must have nothing to do. No, I'm just kidding. But all right, dude, this was good. Thank you guys for watching. It's your boy Montell Fish. Got your boy rapberry here, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it, gained something out of it. And let me know maybe who you guys want on the podcast next, who you guys want to see. But thank you guys again, and I'll see you. Peace.